Representative Kevin Hern joining us, a Republican from Oklahoma. He is a member of the Ways and Means Committee, joining us to talk about the president's first 100 days. Representative Hern, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Good to be with you.
How would you assess the last 100?
Well, certainly it's been fast and furious, not only for the White House, but for us here in Congress, working on things like securing the southern border, bringing transparency to government and accountability, for so long. Many Republicans, if not all, have talked about the waste, fraud, and abuse in government for decades. Even some Democrats who care about spending have talked about it, and President Trump's actually doing something about it. And then certainly what we're seeing with their, releasing our energy production, as he's done, for the great state of mine, Oklahoma, Texas, so many others that produce the energy in this nation to keep us secure.
We heard from John McCarter earlier about the president signing 5 bills into office and comparing that to other administrations. Legislatively, where do you think this 100 days has been, not only for you on Capitol Hill, but working with the White House?
Well, certainly he's moving at lightning speed with the executive orders, things that most of us, if not all of us, on the Republican Party approve with. And by the way, there are some Democrats that quietly say they approve with them as well. They're just, they're just told they can't support them. You talk about the 5 bills we passed, remind everybody that's watching and listening, Republican Party, if you want limited government, you don't need to keep adding, hundreds and hundreds of bills every single month, as it's been often done here in Congress. We want to skinny down government, limit government, which is a principle of our American founders. And the only way you're really going to do that is to cut the spending that goes out into some of these, wasted bureaucracies that are out there. And President Trump, DOJ initially, now the cabinet secretaries are doing just that.
One of the things that Congress has been tasked with is passing this legislative bill of the president. He said the other day he'd like to see that done, but at least the tax portions of it, by July the 4th. What do you think about that as a deadline?
Well, I'm on Ways and Means. I'm on the tax writing subcommittee. Chairman Jason Smith has done a fantastic job of making sure that we're all informed. It's important for everybody to note that this bill was passed, obviously, 2017 Tax Cut and Jobs Act back almost 8 years ago now. Many of the people that were in Congress are no longer here. So the chairman of Ways and Means, Chairman Smith, is tasked with bringing everybody up to speed, which he's been doing over the past year, knowing that we anticipated being in a majority as early as March of last year. So we've been working with working groups, having policy hours, having policy sequestrations in the Library of Congress so that we could get up to speed for this very moment. We're excited. We're ready to go. We're going to meet the Memorial Day deadline.
What do you think are the hurdles then? If you want to meet that deadline, what are the hurdles?
Well, I think it would have been much more difficult had we broken up the bill as originally was anticipated. Chairman Smith, the Speaker of the House, and others really put their case forward with the president that we needed to pass one big, beautiful bill, as it's been called so far, because then everybody gets a little bit of everything. Nobody's going to get 100% of what they want, and when you're doing the legislative process, Ronald Reagan reminded us back in the day that if you could get 80% of what you wanted, you should call it a day and move on. And that's what we're moving for. That's what we're shooting for, is that everybody gets something that they can go home and tell their constituents that they're working hard for them.
It was yesterday, it was reported in a couple outlets that was Representative Don Bacon speaking out about concerns over cuts to Medicaid, saying he would only accept up to $500 billion in cuts. If that's the case, and if others follow along, what complications does that mean for passing legislation that you want to pass?
Well, energy and commerce is where the Medicaid waste is being looked at, things to streamline Medicaid. It's not about cutting the benefits to those who deserve them. Just as the president said on the campaign trail all last year, he's kept his promises. He talked about tariff. He kept those. He talked about not touching Social Security, Medicare, or Medicaid benefits. He has said that not only to you all in the press, but also to us in private. And so we're doing everything that's out there possible to get after the duplicative spending on the backside of the administrative cost. Work requirements, which is an 87% polled United States desire for people to going to get benefits from the American government, from taxpayers, that they work if they're eligible and able to work. And so all of these things are components of that. And I think as we go forward, Congressman Bacon is going to be able to see some of those works. He's a great member of Congress in a tough district in Omaha, and so he knows exactly what he's talking about.
Representative, a lot of this banks on ultimately what the president does with tariffs. What do you think about the possibility of tariffs complicating matters, especially if inflation occurs, or if a lot of these deals that they say they want to pass don't get passed?
I don't think it's going to have impact on the tax policies we're moving forward. The president made campaign promises that got him elected, that helped us get into the majority in the Senate, stay in the majority in the House. We have the so-called trifecta. We're going to work hard over the next 16 months to exercise and execute that agenda. Certainly the things that are before us right now are getting this reconciliation package done by the 4th of July and Independence Day. I would argue that it's another Independence Day for the American people to be separated further from the federal government. What we've seen over the decades and now what we've seen in the last 4 years, it cannot continue for our kids and grandkids with $2 trillion in deficits and $37 trillion in debt. This president wants to do something about it. He's doing something about it. Congress is here to support him.
The president has said over the last couple of days, at least in interviews, about this idea of maybe eliminating or highly reducing income taxes because of what can be done on tariff policy. What's the reality of that?
Well, we just have to see what the 10% tariff policy around the world does as far as generating income. We have to see the reaction. Certainly around the world, other leaders are going to have reactionary measures, policies they put in place. But I think it's important that many people in Congress, I would say most of the United States, had no idea that other countries around the world have been imposing import tariffs on our products that we're sending them for literally decades. And the president has called that out. They've put up trade barriers, whether it's safety barriers that only apply to a United States-produced product like cars, and not put it on their own cars like in Japan. And so the president's addressing each one of these, whether it's in France. I mean, there's so many out there that have come forward. I talk with the Secretary of the Treasury often. I certainly talk with the legislative staff of the president. All of these things are important. They're moving at warp speed. I don't think they thought this many people would come to the table all so quickly. We're seeing what China's happening. The economy in China is eroding very quickly. They're looking at a reduction in their optimism. So that all these things are happening very quickly, and it's only just now been 100 days, and we're starting the first day of the next 100 days.
But before we let you go, it was Hakeem Jeffries, the minority leader, in a letter to his fellow Democrats. He said this, he said, Donald Trump and rubber stamp Republicans in Congress are crashing the economy, driving us towards a recession, and assaulting the American way of life. What do you think of that assessment?
Well, so far he's been wrong. The economy hasn't crashed. Yes, there's been a dip in the Wall Street and the stock market, but now we've had 6 days in a row, and the futures look like it's going to be another positive day. And listen, for the American people, I'd much rather follow a Donald Trump who's securing our southern border, who's bringing energy security back to us in the world, who's trying to stop the chaos around the world in wars, as opposed to the Democrats and the leader of the Democrat Party, when they're following Joe Biden, who didn't even know he was in the White House, when he was, allowing people to leave Afghanistan, creating 13 Gold Star families because they have a crazy pullout, allowing the Russian-Ukrainian war to start, all the chaos with Iran, the Houthis, the Hezbollah, and Hamas. I would much rather for the American people to follow Donald Trump than Joe Biden.
Representative Kevin Hern, Republican of Oklahoma, member of the Ways and Means Committee, one of several guests joining us throughout the course of the morning to talk about the first 100 days. Representative Hern, thank you for your time.
Thanks, Pedro.